listen, you'll have to take me out of commission, cause dissing me ain't gonna get it. My self-esteem is prolific, so when I say I ain't tripping, you know.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today, we talking Cash Wheeler, the not bald member of FTR, and his arrest for aggravated assault with a firearm, which is a very serious felony. So we're going to go straight to the source, the Orlando Sentinel, and we're going to let's see what's been going on with this story so far, and then I'll give my opinion after we lay it all out. So since the Orlando Sentinel, who broke the story, will try to force me to pay to read an article, I will instead use Fox 35 Orlando, because we are not paying for articles around here. Pro wrestler Cash Wheeler arrested in Orlando for aggravated assault. It says professional wrestler Daniel Wheeler, better known as Cash Wheeler, was arrested in Orlando on Friday on an active warrant. Officials confirmed. An arrest warrant was issued for the 36-year-old All Elite Wrestling star for an incident on July 27th, according to court records. He was charged with aggravated assault with a firearm, a third-degree felony. Specific details about the alleged incident were not available in the court records. However, at his court appearance, state prosecutors said the incident appeared to be connected to a road rage incident where Wheeler, quote, allegedly flashed a handgun at the alleged victim. He posted a $2,500 bond and was released from jail. He did not respond to reporters' questions outside the jail and got in his vehicle and drove off. The judge ruled that Wheeler was not allowed to contact any witness or victim and had to turn over any guns he owned to the sheriff's office. Wheeler, one half of the AEW Tag Team Champions, FTR, with Dax Harwood, is scheduled to wrestle at AEW's All In London event at Wembley Stadium on August 27th. Fox 35 asked Wheeler if he still planned to attend the event, but he did not respond. All Elite Wrestling issued the following statement to Fox 35 News about Wheeler's arrest. Quote, AEW has been made aware of the charge, and we are closely monitoring the situation. He is fully cooperating with local authorities, the statement read. And that is the end of the article. So there was also an affidavit that was signed and made public, which the police made public. And it tells essentially the story of what happened that fateful day on July 27th. It says, and I quote, on July 27th, 2023 at 0959, that would be 9:59 in the morning, I, Officer M. Bohe, responded to 5300 S. Orange Blossom Trail in reference to an aggravated assault with a firearm call. Upon my arrival, I spoke to the victim, Daniel Mata, who provided me with a sworn written verbal statement that said the following. Mata stated he was driving west on Interstate 4 north of exit 83. He noticed a Jeep Gladiator weaving in and out of traffic honking its horn, so he moved over to the far right lane to let the Jeep pass. Mata said the Jeep took the right shoulder to drive around him on the passenger side of his vehicle. Mata looked over and noticed a white male with a beard pointing a semi-automatic handgun out of the driver's window at him with a strong stare. Mata said he feared for his life at this time. Mata stated he slowed down to get out of the way of the firearm and ended up behind the suspect's vehicle at this time. At this time, both were committed to exit 83, which is Ivanhoe Boulevard. Mata took pictures of the Jeep as it turned right onto College Park Drive and began to drive reckless. Mata said the Jeep bared Florida tag EFRC72. After taking the picture, Mata said he called 911 and gave the vehicle information to dispatch, the details of what occurred. He explained he could not be late for work and asked an officer to meet him at his work, Orlando Luxury Motors, 5300 South Orange Blossom Trail. I created a photo lineup using Elvis, a database used by law enforcement for investigative purposes, Elvis selected 5 random photos based on the suspect's driver's license picture. Then it says, and put them in a randomized order, with the suspect being the 6th picture. Officer Blinn met with Mata and presented him with the photo lineup instructions and the photo lineup. Mata quickly selected the correct picture, photo number 2, of the suspect, later identified as Daniel M. Wheeler, white male, date of birth May 17th, 1987, with 100% certainty. See Officer Blinn's supplement for more details. So I guess there's another part to this. Based on Mata's sworn statement and the positive photo lineup identification, probable cause exists to charge Wheeler with aggravated assault with a firearm, violation of FSS 78.021A-1. Amazing. What a tremendous story. If you were to look up this story on like PW Insider or something like that, there are certain things that were redacted, such as Dash Wheeler's license plate number and maybe the name of the victim and some other stuff. But I don't think that, this stuff is public information. If you're just, reposting what is already public information, the point of redacting it really doesn't make much sense. But I think we've had that conversation before. Cash Wheeler pled not guilty, and if found guilty in court, he will have to serve either a 5-year sentence, 5 years of probation, or pay a $5,000 fine. So this is a pretty nasty charge that he's got dangling over his head. It's significantly different from Sonya Deville's charge, which was just she was in possession of, and she wasn't really even in possession of it because it was found in her car. This is a situation where a guy is said to have been pointing a gun at someone else. Now, clearly the other guy whose affidavit was put out there in public, his side of the story is out there. He baby-faced himself. He didn't, if you go through that story again, you didn't hear that he did anything or said anything to Cash. There was no argument between the two guys. There was no threats being lobbied between the two guys. It sounds like that it might have gotten into some kind of altercation, and then things went too far. But sometimes when somebody's a victim, they tend to not tell the whole story. It's called lying by omission. So I technically don't take too much stock into what is said there, considering there was no mention of conflict. It was just the guy was driving recklessly, and then all of a sudden here's a gun, and it's like, I don't know about that. Now, I don't know. Again, I wasn't there, but until we hear Cash Wheeler's side of the story, I'm kind of on the tip where this guy's leaving out information. That's just kind of how I feel. And I feel like if you're openly withholding information, I get suspicious. So I'm very suspicious of that, of the story that as it has been put out there so far. So even though I'm suspicious of the story as it's been put out there so far, I am a Second Amendment guy. One thing that I do say is you can't point pistols at people. You can't point guns at people. That's considered a threat. You can't make threats. That's also kind of the line with free speech. If you tell somebody you're going to kick their ass, or you scream at them that you're going to kill them or whatever, some people don't take that in stride. They take it seriously. Pointing a gun is definitely elevated from, saying I'm going to kick your ass. It's definitely next level. So I can't even support you if you're pointing guns at people. I don't care that he has a gun. It's great that he's got a gun. Plenty of wrestlers have guns. When this thing hit the internet, people was kind of making fun of him for having a gun. It's like, what do you mean? Like, all kinds of people, especially if you travel for a living, you should probably have a gun. If you have anything worth protecting, you should probably have a gun. So I'm not tripping that he's got a gun. I'm tripping that he would improperly brandish a weapon at somebody. If that actually did occur, even if you add conflict to it, unless that guy pulled something and then you pulled your gun, like if he pulled a tire iron but you pulled a gun, okay, I'm cool with that. He pulled a knife, or he threatened to punch you when you pulled your gun, all right. But if it was just you two arguing and then you drew down on him, I'm like, nah, I can't go for the Yosemite Sam stuff, man. just keep it on your hip, or until you need it. So I'm a full 2A supporter, but there are limitations. I can't have you going around pointing guns at folks. We can't do that. And the guy had every reason to be scared if that really did occur the way that he said it. So the timing of this fiasco, because this incident supposedly happened in July, and then the guy went and talked to the police. All of this stuff was kind of put together, and then boom, an arrest warrant was out there, and Cash Wheeler was arrested. This thing happened 2 weeks ago, because it's the 18th now. The incident was on the 27th. He was booked on the 3rd, so almost literally 2 weeks ago. This stuff would have been public information. How is it that the wrestling media didn't know this? How can we know the inner thoughts of Vince McMahon and the inner thoughts of CM Punk and Tony Khan and pretty much everybody else, but we can't know this very public incident occurred until the mainstream media is actually doing their job and picking up on this stuff and putting it out there. Because the wrestling media can't figure it out. They can't figure out how to actually find stuff. They are too busy spreading gossip and, whatever. It is what it is. I'm not surprised that the wrestling media is behind on this. Are you? I'm not. I'm not surprised at all that the wrestling media is behind on this story. But now that they've gotten a hold of it, they will definitely be keeping tabs on it. Now that the timing of this situation is absolutely abysmal for AEW, because now they're in the news for all the wrong reasons. This was the first mainstream news I've seen them talking about Wembley, and it's because this guy got arrested. So the timing of this, truly awful. Now, don't get me wrong, there is no correct time to get charged with a felony. I'm not saying that, get charged with felonies, when there's no pay-per-view up. But when you have back-to-back events, and he might not even be able to travel, because we don't know whether he's going to even be able to travel or not. Again, this is different than Sonya Deville's case. We don't know if they're going to even allow this guy to travel, let alone fly to the UK, let alone whether the UK government will even let him in. I've heard a lot of different people suggest that because it's just an allegation right now, they might let him in. He was charged, but he has not been convicted. But some people have just even said it's a felony. It involves a gun. They're not going to let him in the UK. I don't know. I don't know the United Kingdom's laws on this situation. I'm not even going to pretend to know. But let's just say, if you're Tony Khan, this is one of your top 2 big matches for Wembley. Do you cancel this match? Most people I have seen, admittedly, a lot of them are marks. They say if Cash Wheeler can go into the UK and wrestle this show, they should let him do it. I am on the side of, if he will not be picked up by the UK government, if he won't get booted out of the country, if they will actually let him in, then they're giving the thumbs up that this match can go on. But if the match cannot go on, what do you do at that point? Do you postpone it? Say you do it an all out instead, and hopefully you let the state of Florida lets him go to Chicago? That's a tough deal. Now, the match is still going to happen, because if nothing else, you could have it whenever this whole thing blows over, if you don't go to jail for it. But just because the match is not going to happen at Wembley doesn't mean that the match can't happen. That's the one thing that I want to think about. I know a lot of wrestling fans, they get kind of antsy about this kind of stuff. Even if Cash Wheeler cannot go to the UK, they can still do the match somewhere else. All right. And plus, that's not really the important thing now. It's a wrestling match. You can do it in any arena in the world, all right? Especially if it's supposedly a big match, you can do it anywhere. What should AEW do? Well, that depends. If you're AEW, there's two questions that, me and a lot of other people are asking. One, did AEW know about this? Booked this match anyway, and then had been promoting this match, knowing that Cash Wheeler might be put in prison. I'm sorry, jail. Prison and jail is two different things. Might be put in jail and not even have the match. Again, the match is next Saturday. All right. Did they know? Because if they knew about this gun charge, and then they booked the match anyway, and then they continued to promote the match, not knowing if one of the guys in the match could even go, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to say it's scumbag behavior or nothing like that. It's just patently unfair to the audience because you're withholding information from the audience. The audience does not know that this guy could possibly not make the show. So now people are buying tickets based off seeing this match, and this match might not occur. That's the scumbag part of this whole deal. If AEW knew and were promoting this match anyway, they had better be sure that they checked and said he can get into the UK. Because if it turns out that he can't, and they have been promoting this match and they knew that he was going to get arrested on a gun charge, then they are absolute scumbags. And they fucked over who knows how many people who bought tickets to see the Young Bucks versus FTR. Now let's flip it. Let's say AEW did not know, and that nobody had any idea that he was in this kind of trouble. They promoted the match earnestly, believing that the match was going to occur. Cash Wheeler knew he was going to get arrested, or, that this incident had occurred because he was in court on the 3rd. Then you have to fire Cash Wheeler. Flat out. You have to fire him. If he did not tell you about this situation, even if he can go to the UK, it is an absolute betrayal of the trust that you have. Look, the WWE fired Enzo for the same thing, right? Enzo was accused of rape. He didn't tell WWE. It ended up getting public. They found out about it. They fired him. He wasn't fired for getting accused of rape. He was fired because he didn't tell the company. The company was blindsided with this ordeal. They was like, oh no, what's going on? Fire this guy. If Cash Wheeler did not tell Tony Khan or somebody in legal in AEW that he was going to be in the middle of some drama that might affect your 80,000 seat show, he should be fired. He should be fired. That's gross negligence by somebody you're pushing as a top star in your company. If he's going to put your company at risk to that degree, to piss people off, because if he can't go, then that match is off. So again, you can still have the match in Chicago. You can still have it for the people who watching it on TV. It might not make a difference, but to all the people in the UK, you've pissed them off, bro. You have fucked them over because they thought they were going to get this, the big ending of this trilogy, and now it's not going to happen. I don't see how you can continue to do business with that guy. Now, I know what it means. You fire Cash Wheeler, Dax Harwood you might as well send him out too, right? I get that. I don't see how can you just say we're going to give him a warning? This is a felony charge. It involves people pointing guns at each other. I don't know about this one, dog. I don't know. Maybe you suspend him, but for what is a suspension? Because the suspension operates the same way. You still got to take the titles from him. But what about that? What about the championships? Do you continue his run as a champion? Do you hotshot it away from them? Maybe you have the Young Bucks wrestle somebody else. They drop the belts to, I don't know, the Gun Club or whatever. And then you have the Gun Club wrestle the Young Bucks in Wembley or something like that. Which, might be a way of trying to avoid everything, but that'll also piss off everybody who bought a ticket to see FTR versus the Young Bucks. So do you change the match? I think that depends again on whether AEW knew. If they knew and their legal side says it'll be fine, whatever's going to happen is going to happen after Wembley, and the UK is going to let them in, we'll deal with it afterwards, then I can't be mad at that. It's honestly a perfectly reasonable position to have. If you can have the match and the guy can travel, have the match and then deal with it afterwards. If the guy can't travel, you need to switch the titles immediately or vacate them. I'm talking immediately. I'm talking soon as possible because you only got 1 week. I'm going to assume that billionaire Tony Khan is not a complete and total numbskull. That Cash Wheeler is a stand-up guy. Probably went to his boss and said, hey, boss, I got arrested. This thing, I don't know if it's going to affect my ability to travel. You guys figure it out. But I got arrested. This is what I got arrested for. I'm going to say not guilty. End of. And let AEW legal handle it. And you keep going about your business. It's a black mark on the show. It's a black eye on FTR. It's a black eye on the company. But it's not insurmountable. There have been wrestlers that have done far worse. And there have been guys who have done worse and then continued working. Again, Snuka. All right? Snuka was never found guilty of anything, but that was a crazy accusation to have murdered his girlfriend. And I'm pretty sure Snuka didn't miss too many dates after that girl died. All right? He continued to make the towns. So it's not like this is the worst thing that could have possibly happened. It's just horrible things that happen at a really, really bad time. And I don't feel like I should make jokes at this point in time. There'd be time for jokes. Because this is serious. I think this is a man who's got children. His partner is always talking about how much he loves the business and how much he loves his daughter. This was going to be a huge paycheck. And it's in jeopardy. This guy's livelihood is in jeopardy. Who knows what's going to... Well, it's 10 o'clock in the morning when this thing occurred, apparently. Was he drunk at 10 in the morning? What was it? Did it not happen at all? There's just so many questions floating around where, sometimes you get into it with a guy and it gives him all the ability in the world to lie about you. So maybe the guy is lying. We don't know. But it's very serious and people are making jokes and people are trying to come up with fantasy booking ideas. I don't think the time is for that. I think when you look at from a business perspective, what do you need to do? And Tony Khan needs to very quickly figure out how he's going to assure his audience that 1, this match will happen. 2, that Cash Wheeler will be able to get into the UK. 3, that everything is going to be all right. And even if everything isn't all right, we're going to have a suitable replacement because he likes to spend money. Now is the time to spend money. This is a smash the glass in case of emergency situation. FTR versus the Young Bucks was one of the first matches announced for this show. You have to fix it. This is one of those times, and I didn't have a problem with AEW's response, that they're monitoring it and they're going to pay attention and, cooperate with the law. That's a pretty boilerplate response. Nothing wrong with it. But, again, there's other questions outside of that. It's not immoral to let the guy wrestle because he was accused of pointing a gun at somebody. He wasn't proven. It wasn't on video. It is what it is. So there's nothing wrong with the company's response. I'm just looking at it from the perspective of a fan. And maybe if I was in the company, if you're a fellow wrestler, you wish him well because it could have been anybody in this situation. It could literally be you. So I don't think this is an opportunity to take a shot at the guy because you don't like FTR bald, because, none of us likes FTR bald, but FTR hair has he's been a little bit of a prick, but not to the level of FTR bald. But ultimately, man, I hope this guy doesn't ruin his life, ruin his career. I'm thinking personally, charges are going to be dropped, and all of this will just fade away. And charges are dropped almost all the time when it comes to these sorts of things, especially if you got a good legal team, you got some money, you got some people with money behind you. We've seen wrestlers get caught on video doing stuff, and the charges were dropped. So this sounds like a situation where the charges might get dropped. I don't think it'll get dropped in a week, which is, again, the timing of this issue. If they had talked about this in early August, and then, maybe a couple of weeks later, you could say, oh, maybe the charges will be dropped. Like, if the charges are going to be dropped, it's probably going to be dropped mid-September. They'll probably just let it go. I don't think they'll go through the whole thing of, indicting him today and arresting him and all that kind of stuff, and then turning around and dropping the charges 5 days later, or 4 days later, or 6 days later, or whatever. So there's going to definitely be a question going into Saturday unless somebody from WWE, I'm just so used to those guys getting arrested, from AEW legal coming out saying this is the setup, this is what's going on, this is how we're approaching the situation, this match will happen, this match will not happen, it cannot happen, or whatever the case may be. Until we get something like that, everything's going to be up in the air. But what did you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah. We're just gonna